Crookshank. Brings them about 10 metres inside Kirrawee's portion of halfway. Now this is Langmack. Oh, and he's cut them nicely, looking for support. And good work as they fall on the ball, and a scrum to go down 10 metres inside Kirrawee's portion of halfway. 0-0.
Yes, the defence from Kirrawee has improved. I was a little worried in that opening first stanza, but the boys from Kirrawee are moving up a little bit better now, and the first man is going low.
Yes, well, initial television nerves, not retiring, a penalty Fairfield's way, but Kirrawee have certainly positive thoughts and an absolute disregard for their previous encounter with Fairfield, which was in '79 when they were put out by a pretty hot side. Good ground gained by Max Mannix, and O'Malley to take the free. A valuable 8-9 metre gain for him. Peter Edwards, a dummy half. This is Roberts. O'Malley slicing through too. At about 9 metres out from the goal line now. Edwards working. Decoy, Osborne. Sheer weight, determination, a half a metre short. Garner at dummy half. With Gilmore now. He's got 4 up on the left. Edwards himself from dummy half. Barry Bradstock says no, 1 to go. Langmack. Oh, yeah, simple. Sean Lamerton, first try for Fairfield. They lead 3 points to 0. That was simple, but the build-up was superb from Fairfield, and it has been the last 6 minutes, and culminating with a nice try. Sean Lamerton, a short corridor, put it down.
Yes, a very smart little move there. A good, quick-thinking pass by the halfback, Paul Gilmore, to throw it to Sean Lamerton. I think the boys from Kirrawee expected the pass to go to one of the forwards closer to the ruck. He threw it just that little bit wider, and the winger had come in, and it's a good start to Sean Lamerton to score wide out. I would like the boys at home who are watching to note that in defence one must spread from sideline to sideline, and that was really a mistake that possibly should not have occurred. The Kirrawee defence will have to spread. The boys are moving up quite well, but they're a little bit bunched at this stage.
Early glory for Fairfield. I believe this season has been an encouraging start for them too. Perhaps a stepping stone to bigger things. Wins over Christian Brothers Lewisham and Camden High. And now they lead Kirrawee Hyde in the second of the Commonwealth Bank Cup games for 1981. They lead 3 points to 0. This is their winger, Sean Raich, a very difficult angle. Side boots it. Total misdirection that time, so the score 3-0 in favour of Fairfield. Patrician Brothers Fairfield, of course, have already won this competition twice, as I mentioned at the outset, and they have been the recipients of the trophy and the great prizes from National Panasonic and Electronic Sales and Rentals. And this year the winners will win $4,000 worth of TV and or sound equipment, while the runners-up will win $2,500, all from National Panasonic and Electronic Sales and Rentals. A name synonymous with rugby league, and a name synonymous with great deals like their package offers, and they're open 7 days a week. Electronic Sales and Rentals, offering you Australia's #1 name in television. Have a look at their pictures and you won't find better. That's National Panasonic. Meanwhile, it's Fairfield on their own quarter with Edwards feeding Osborne. Now the run is from Brian Burford, the college captain, and he's wearing jumper number 9. Gilmore, and this is Garner nearly through the line. So referee Brodstock is calling out young Todd Capes and having a word about him, or to him, about that tackle. As I had mentioned, an exchange student out here from Colorado, so that's a bit of a chapter and a half for Kirrawee. He proved himself, I should imagine, in gridiron terms then, as a good defence man.
He was telling me he's a really good ball player, but he didn't know how he'd go on the rugby, John. Very tall boy. There was certainly no malice meant in that tackle. He went in to take the boy around the shoulders and just went a little high. Fairfield looked very strong in the forwards. I like the look of George Roberts and Rodney Osborne. They're running onto the outside of the rucks very, very hard.
Super line kick. Oh, through the line. Going hard again. Burford, the college captain. Number 9, he's only 5 metres short of the line. Look at them stretched out here. Nice and deep Fairfield. Oh, this is it. Oh, threatening gun. He's got 3 up. He'll go himself. Oh, and sleepy defence there. But that was Fairfield at their best. They've started their run in triumphant fashion. Beautifully engineered way back here. Oh, they're doing everything right. They had 5 up there. They lead 6-0.
Yes, a good try to Fairfield. They're a complete team. That we knew that before they started, but they're in for a big year. They're lined out very nicely, and this is the mark, the definite mark of a top team. That is that they hold their position in attack and defence. And if you look then, John, as you called, when young Mark Garner, breezed over for that try, he must have had 4 or 5 boys, both centres, a winger, fullback in support, and that doesn't augur too well at this stage for Kirrawee, but a very fine and strong try to Fairfield there, Patrician Brothers Fairfield. Good bust too, as you call, from Brian Burford. Very strong run off the tap move.
10 minutes gone. They lead 6-0 with the conversion from kickable range for Sean Roach to come. Another side booter. And another 2 points from the sweet boot of Sean Roach. Fairfield Patrician Brothers leading Kirrawee High after 10 minutes of play, 10-0.
Doesn't every dog deserve good ale?
The wildest movie to hit the screen. The wildest birds. The wildest stunts. And the most incredible auto stampede in history. Insane drivers. Used cars. They'll send your senses reeling. Used cars. Word to them.
Used Cars starts Thursday at the Hoyt Centre and all Hoyt's drive-ins.
There's a lot we'd like to tell you about Queensland. It's a way of life we think you ought to know. The people are still people up in Queensland. You can take a smile back with you when you go.
You come to my restaurant, my mother, she will cook for you. Fettuccine alla pulcinella, scaloppini alla caprese. Absolutely beautiful, I have to tell you. With the good Italian food, you must have the right wine. Liebfrau wine, crisp and fruity. Liebfrau wine refreshes your palate, so you really enjoy the food. So remember, you eat his mama's food, you drink Liebfrau wine, and you make my mother very, very happy.
Liebfrau wine, the special wine for special meals.
They'll love me. I gave them an extra 2 points. 8-0 as we join us back here at Leichhardt. Well, Kirrawee, being a very inexperienced side, as we said at the outset, only 2 play rugby league outside the school. But they're underdogs. They're throwing caution to the wind tonight, and whenever they do get the ball, they will be attacking at all times. And as Bob said, their attitude was rather fantastic down there in the dressing room. As they get it off again, they'll put everything into it. Greg Walker, the fullback, wearing jumper number 1. Langmark laying it on beautifully. Oh, and there's a nice cut infield. Cupid. And doing some nice tidying up for Kirrawee. Chambers. And then it went to John Taylor, probably the strongest in every department and probably the hardest runner in the side. He's wearing jumper number 11. It's a big tackle from George Roberts. It's Taylor again. Looked after this time by Mark Garner.
Fairfield have 3 in every tackle if you watch, John. 1 low, 1 in the middle, and 1 to take the ball. There we go again.
Carl Mitten. In fact, 4 times that time. Forsyth through Hines and Chambers. That's Martin Duffy, number 3. He represented New South Wales combined high schools in cricket last year. And they tell me he has a flash of pace out there in the centres. He's wearing jumper number 3.
Apparently a number of the boys also very competent in hockey as well from Kirrawee.
That's right. Now that's Tracy, their vice-captain, their lock forward, making ground at 10 metres inside Fairfield's territory. Chambers.
It's on 2 occasions now that Kirrawee have made 10 to 15 metres directly from the dummy half. As I speak again, there are gaps directly around the dummy half at Fairfield, and I'm sure their coach will point that out to them later on.
20 metres they've gained in 2 rucks, and they've switched it for Taylor, taking it on the left side. A few metres out from Fairfield's quarter, keeping it on that short left, and good intelligent play, but unfortunate for Taylor's prod. That was Sean Roach bringing it up midway midfield. Peter Edwards going for it. Oh, scuttles them. Beautiful break there by Edwards. Look at him clap on the pace, look for assistance, and just a little belated arrival there from Garner. But a smashing run from their hooker. Oh, he's a top player. Watch them spread it now. This is threatening.
Trouble wide.
Garner lining them up. Walker, Lamerton, a lovely passage. Whenever they come forward, it's so beautiful, it's so organised, it's so disciplinised. Beautiful football from Fairfield as they hit the lead now, 11 points to 0.
Yes, a little bit of bad luck there for Kirrawee, but let's not take away from a great length of the field try by Patrician brothers Fairfield. But Kirrawee looked like they were going to be right on attack at the far end when they didn't kick that ball out. The Patrician brothers boys have picked it, they've swept the ball wide, and look at the positioning. People running onto the ball at all times.
This is Garner now. Now watch Walker, he comes up and joins the line beautifully. He has Lamerton on the outside, O'Malley next to him.
He
takes the tackle beautifully.
Fakes a little bit inside, and this Lamerton certainly has some speed out wide.
Draws his hips in and gives greater width for Lamerton to come through on that corridor and put it down nicely. It's a topside. Really coming on like a cavalry charge here, Bob. Side totally committed to attacking football. No troubles at all. It's the Sean Roach, and they come up now to 13 points to 0. Fairfield Patrician brothers over Kirrawee High, and we've had 15 minutes of play.
Amazing how popular round the corner goal kicking has become. Certainly the fashion in Sydney, and seem to be able to get that little bit extra distance without the same effort. Young Mark Garner is placing his stamp on the match with his blonde locks, scoring that other try, and very intelligently then as a front rower to draw the defence to put his fullback away.
He's in every play as if it's his last. Right in the heart of play, all the time.
I think he wants to stay on this side, John.
Walker, the fullback for Fairfield. And gains a good 20 metres for his side. Edwards exploring the right with Langmark. Big pass to Roach, and ran out of room. With good defence from Kirrawee and a scrum 10 metres short of Fairfield's own side of halfway. Fairfield are charging into the Forbes knockout April 4 and 5, a weekend to remember, where, as usual, 16 of the state's quality sides provide a rugby league thriller of a weekend. Barry Bradstock, our referee officiating tonight. Fairfield, Langmark, doubling with Gilmore. They've turned it over to the hands of Martin Duffy, the centre for Kirrawee. Spread it now. There's the defence of Garner again, covering every blade of grass. Kirrawee, and this is Tracy. Well, that was Hines, and this time it's Taylor. Hines with Chambers now. The touch for Duffy, Rathbone on the left. And Mark Cupid, the fullback, now a dummy half. There's the little chip over. Oh, nicely, enthusiastically grabbed too. An awkward bounce for Greg Walker, who's turned in a fine performance from fullback tonight.
It was a good little kick too, just in the right spot, and had an awkward bounce, but young Walker was having a good game, as you said, and very confident, picked the ball up on the run.
Cruikshank coming forward for Fairfield. And that's Burford, not only the college captain, but an outstanding student, a fine quality footballer too. Kicking for position, Langmark. Tidying up, Cupid. Gee, look at those chases. As normal, 3. Burford, O'Malley, Langmark. Hines. Well, he gained about 6 metres, but he slipped about 3 running Kirrawee. And it's Fairfield's possession. Garner moving from dummy half. Edwards was there to back him. And that was a slamming tackle from Chambers. Langmark exploring the right with a switch of play. Roberts, Lamerton. Short pass to Ryde. She's got the legs, the drive, and the pace.
Good pass.
Lovely tried, and no try.
Yeah, bad luck.
Intentionally forward pass.
That's the advantage of having a Sydney first-grade referee. John has saved you from an ulcer, but Lamerton, I did think that pass did drift forward, and the referee was in the perfect spot to pick that up. Bad luck for the winger out there.
Yes, it's a big escape for Kirrawee. They breathe again. And they have possession in centre field. 20 minutes gone, and Fairfield lead 13-0.
Well, apart from the scoreline, John, the scrums are locked at 2-2 at this stage, and Fairfield have a slight minority, 3-2 in the penalty count.
Statistics from Bob Lloyd, supplied by our statistician, Ray O'Donnell. Chambers out with Duffy. Now it's Rathbone. At least Cupid. And Selina dummy half. Chambers and well and truly tied up by George Roberts. And a scrum 10 metres short of halfway in Kirrawee's territory.
That's good football from Kirrawee. John, sustained pressure. They've done well. The last 3 times that Kirrawee have had possession, they've held the ball for 6 tackles. And really, that's a good sign and does augur well for the team, even though, as we said, they're slightly inexperienced, but they're not really out of the game at this stage. If they could just get themselves up to the other end of the field, points on the board, I'm sure that they could get back into the game. But to be able to hold possession for virtually 18 tackles when they've had the ball shows that the team is still hanging in there, very much so.
Well, they had a harrowing time for the first 20 minutes with Fairfield throwing men at them from every angle, but they're fighters and battlers, the boys from Kirrawee. And it's their ball, with Hines, a top hockey prospect wearing jumper number 7, who gained possession, and in turn, Kirrawee on the right.
Oh.
Not this time for John Taylor. Hines again trying to go through midfield, but that's a wall, and a Fairfield wall of 4. Chambers, and up there Greg Walker looking after him in centre field. Tracy, he's had a good game for
Yes,
Kirrawee.
Tracy's a strong boy, very hard in defence and runs hard. And again, even though they only made 15 metres, John, they held onto the ball for that 6.
He's their vice-captain, Craig Tracy, wearing jumper number 8. He repped for Cronulla SG Ball and repped Metropolitan Schoolboys side last year as well. It's a Paul Gilmore feed, and he receives. The touch to Langmark with Lamerton. Beautifully picked up. Mannix for a run. O'Malley is there. He gives it to him, and he's got hiking along. But great tackle. And looked after him, 10 metres out from Kirrawee's goal line.
What a top pass from young Sean Lamerton, John, to get that ball away.
Beautiful, wasn't it? Mannix picked it up nicely too. And O'Malley had a nice run down this left line. Attacked it well. Kevin Burke said his side that he had a very fast one. He was A1. Tracy. Treble trouble for him just inside his own quarter. The defence pattern of Fairfield trying to contain. There's a nice reception committee from Osborne and Edwards that time, and as a result you saw what happened with the ball, but Kirrawee still have it. Edwards again blocking the centre of the ruck. Tracy. And this is the tall Todd Capes, the boy from Colorado. Tracy trying to break that line again, but Osborne looked after him. Chambers. Duffy. Almost an encampment by Fairfield within the quarter.
Yes, I have said on a number of occasions they're able to hang on to the ball, but only being able to make 10 or 15 metres in 6 is not really good enough. I really feel that with the fact that they're getting half the ball from the scrums, that they should be using a little bit more tactical kicking.
Thinking out here quickly, we'll be underway again. Lamerton holding that pass up. He rolled downfield well. Langmark with Mannix. Oh, outsmarted them, outthought them. Can he put it down? Yes. Oh, gee whiz. Just a couple of tackles he got. The passing is arrogant. It's cheeky. The running is taking its toll. They now lead by 19 points to 0.
Yes, Fairfield obviously have two very, very important match-winning players in their centre combination, young Lamerton and Mannix. Mannix then has got in. It's good to see these quicker, big boys too. Both centres are big lads, and he's picked the ball up, I think, from dummy half and just ran wide, looked for support, looked for the gap, threw one or two little dummies and then accelerated. And even though it was good last-ditch defence efforts from Kirrawee, it was just too big and too strong and going too fast to be stopped.
Mark Mannix, the state decathlon champion, and as I said earlier, in May off with the Australian side to contest those American titles. And having a ball terror of a match tonight. Sean Roach. This time the direction not A1 with 5 minutes to go before half-time. That 6 over there looked as though, that 9 looked as though it was, well, the 6 looked as 9. It's 16-0 in favour of Fairfield against Kirrawee High.
Young Roach has a 50% success rate. He's had 4 attempts and been successful with 2 so far, John.
Sean Roach, the goal kicker, jumper number 2 for Fairfield. Next week's first round sudden death match is between Collerton High and Blacktown High. Garner. Great snowy mop on top. He's forever coming for Fairfield. There he goes again. And a good 8 to 9 metre gain. Coming forward, Fairfield. Oh, gee whiz. That was weak and anemic. It's a big run here. I think it's Burford, is it? There was a big split for them. And great running. This is Gilmore with Langmark. With Mannix keeping the ball beautifully alive. Langmark. Osborne. Garner. Oh, this is it. Burford out to Roach. No problems. And from 2 magnificent runs, Fairfield are in again. Blistering display. Their attacking ability just too hot for Kirrawee.
Certainly again showed their great forward strength from way back inside their own half, or just inside their own half. 2 very big long runs, but here we have the ball going across there. Their little halfback, Paul Gilmore, in everything, keeping the ball alive at all times. Gets the ball out there to Mannix, I think it is. Back to Langmark, who has the ability also to keep the ball wide. And now we see a little bit of loose ball, a little bit fortunate there, knocked out. But our boy again, Garner, ready on the spot, runs, draws his man well again.
Burford giving it out to Roach, and he really puts another metre in the litre in the petrol tank, and over he goes in the corner.
Very quick boy outside there. Both wingers are fast, and great supports to the 2 centre pair, but very dangerous out wide and very strong up the middle. So what do you say about them?
Yes. Paul Langmack, the captain of the side. Here is Rach again. Oh, totally misdirected. The captain of the side, and he's the 5'8". He was a member of that New South Wales Combined Catholic Schools under-15 side to New Zealand last year, where the team won all the matches, and he had a very active spell on tour. And I might mention he's having a very active spell here tonight. Directing play very nicely.
Yes, just on that, John, the standard of football at that level in New Zealand is also very strong, and that was their most successful tour for many years.
Garner in possession for Fairfield. Osborne with Gilmore. He's hard to contain. Just over halfway, just penetrating Kirrawee's portion of halfway, exploring the right through Langmack with Mannix. Now outside Burford. Burford looking for Roach. Still going hard, 30 metres out now from Kirrawee's goal line as Fairfield spread it. Oh, in behind them beautifully. What a top run by Mannix again. He'll go himself. Oh, individual effort. Oh, he left them just, the ease of it all, he left them just open-mouthed. The speed of Mannix, phenomenal.
Yes, he's not only quick, John, he's got that natural ability to slow up the opposition for those boys at home who are watching. In a moment, you'll see coming up on your screen as the ball comes across the line to Mannix. A slight dummy there. Notice a couple of little shuffles with the feet. In and away, he's still looking around. He wants to see support. Now he's going to clap it on. He knows the try's on. He still looks, goes to the line, and is a big boy and a bit too strong there over the line. But very, very good football skills, particularly when he's running with the ball. That's his second very fine try.
Beautiful try by Max Mannix, the decathlon champ. And he has a fine centre partner too, let's not forget, in Sean Lamerton. And a couple of beautiful finishes in Sean Roach, number 2, who's kicking from a very, very difficult angle. So not a bad shot either. Didn't see it all that well, and it's almost on half-time with a scoreline that reads 22-0 in favour of Fairfield.
Yes, young Mannix showed all his decathlon skills there, of course, where a boy has to compete in 10 events, and he virtually looked like a little bit of movement for the hop, step and jump, the pole vault. He really must have fabulous coordination to be able to put all that together, and he's putting it together on the field tonight.
Well, Barry Bradstock has halted play as the hooter is sounded throughout the field, and the scoreline reading in our second Commonwealth Bank Cup match for 1981, a resounding first half. For Patrician Brothers Fairfield, they lead Kirrawee High 22-0.
This is the world's best sport. Out here, you're mixing it with the best.
Same back in the club. Mix it with the best. Schweppervescence. For the full taste and life of spirits, Schweppervescence lasts the whole drink through. Gin and Schweppes tonic. Scotch and Schweppes soda. Brandy and Schweppes dry. Schweppes. Mix it with the best.
If you're really serious about saving money on groceries, Coles New World is the supermarket to shop at. Here's proof. Listen to these Coles specials. Bushell's Instant Coffee, a great special at $2.15. Lux Toilet Soap, down to 65 cents. Castle Laundry Detergent, value at $1.79. Steggles Whole Fresh Chicken, $2.59 a kilo. Kraft Coon Cheese, special $1.59. Remember, you'll really save on these great weekly specials from New World. Here's even more. Delicious standing rib roast, real value at $3.49 a kilo. Tasty hamburger minced beef, a great special $1.99 a kilo. 2 kilos of Jonathan apples, real value at $1.39 a pack. And tender farmland barbecue chicken, $3.99. So, if you're really serious about saving money on groceries, come to New World and save with Coles cheaper prices.
Going home today, Peter?
Hello, Mrs. Beck. Goodness, how Peter looks well. Pizza! He's keen on his dinner.
Yes, it's Go-Cat.
Go-Cat? But Peter never...
They all love Go-Cats. 5 improved varieties.
Improved?
Yes, this is country chicken. Bite-sized shapes. basted with natural chicken juices. It smells and tastes just like real country chicken. Right, Peter?
Mummy's pizza a go-cat.
All my cats love the natural flavour of go-cat.
The advanced technological excellence of Pulsar Quartz brings you our new autumn collection with men's digitals, including exciting new sports models, a handsome collection of men's water-resistant and dress analogues, and of course, to suit every woman's taste, an elegant new selection of ladies' watches. Pulsar Quartz, a new dimension in time. Available from leading jewellery stores.
Well, certainly no complaints from anybody after those 30 minutes of sparkling attacking football. I mean, so the game has just exploded with 6 tries in the first half. Tries of all different types and kinds, but all quality tries. I don't think you disagree with that, Bob?
No, an explosive display from Fairfield. Something what we expected might happen, but very strong team.
Bob, let's start first of all by asking you, do you have in mind at this particular time any school that seems to you to be a hot favourite for, let's say, for argument's sake, first of all for the University Shield and then the Commonwealth Bank Cup?
Well, the University Shield, again, is just about to kick off, as the Commonwealth Bank Cup is. We've attracted a good number of entries again this year, and the Commonwealth Bank are thrilled with the progress of the competition. But I think I'd be hard-pressed to find a school outside of Chatham High, Taree, who were our winners last year. Primarily a Year 10 team. They virtually have the whole side back, so one would have to think, if I was a betting man, that they would have to be a very good chance. Tamworth are saying nothing, and that means that they must have something. They're keeping things very close to their chest, so I think Tamworth might be there again this year, as could be one of our old favourites, Yanko.
And what about the Commonwealth Bank Cup?
Well, in the Commonwealth Bank Cup, of course, the beautiful thing about that competition is we see both areas of the school system coming together. I mean, the state system and the Catholic system. And, of course, the Catholic system is built on tradition of their rugby league teams. We're seeing tonight, of course, a team that Fairfield, who will be up there when the big ones are being played. Holy Cross Ryde, St Greg's, Campbelltown. Virtually, they sort themselves out, and I think we'll know a little bit more at the conclusion of the Forbes Carnival.
You being manager of the Australian schoolboys side back in 79-80, when does next an Australian schoolboys side face another international side?
Well, we had an Australian all-states meeting in Sydney last Saturday, John, and I'm thrilled to be able to tell you very briefly about 2 happenings. First of all, we'll be staging the first ever Australian 15 years national carnival with 5 states participating, plus the New South Wales Catholic schools. I'm thrilled about the prospects for Australian level sport and also international schoolboy rugby league at the 15-year-old level. We certainly, this year in August, first weekend in August, we'll be selecting an Australian high schools rugby league team to do battle, we hope, with the New Zealand Merit team. That's a New Zealand 19-year Merit youth team.
When you're talking about that Australian schoolboys side, we said it at the outset that there could be a couple on display here tonight that could wear the green and gold in the future. A couple that may have caught your imagination in that first half.
Yes, I like the whole pack of the Fairfield team. Young Garner runs hard, covers the grass well in defence, has an ability which you don't often see in a front row forward, and that is to offload the ball at the right time. He's set his supports up extremely well, runs hard in close, sets up out wide. The 2 centres, I really think, have a stamp of class about them, young Lennox and Lemerton, very, very classy centres, but really, as you said, 6 tries to 0, really the team themselves should take a great deal of pride and a big pat on their back.
Bob Lloyd's excellent views at the break. And after these few words on Channel 10, we'll be back for the second term.
Some restaurants make you feel welcome, but frown at the kids. Others make the kids feel welcome and forget about you.
Or you can come to our place.
Oh, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Relax for one night, step in for a night out.
Thank you. You're welcome.
It's gonna be alright.
Pizza Hut. You're welcome.
Hey, look at me. It's as easy as can be.
Persola makes it easy to get around town in comfort and style. Fully automatic for easier riding. Persola also makes the ideal family transport alternative. Persola,
clean and convenient. Very economical and energy conserving too. From under $600, they make life
easy as can be.
You're about to witness an amazing test track demonstration of performance and grip. A threat, a reflex turn, but throughout low-profile control. The Bridgestone secret? Patented superfiller material for low-profile performance on standard-size wheels. Watch again. The Bridgestone RD207 steel with superfiller. So advanced, it's patented.
Hey! Oh, I'm getting the hang of this painting on ceilings.
Dulux Ceiling White.
It's got a kind of richness that flows on. Hides all the bumps and the wavy bits. Look at that. Even in this strong light, Dulux Ceiling White has that soft, flat finish. And it doesn't splatter like the other paints.
Dulux Ceiling White. It's worth it.
At the break, Fairfield Patrician brothers leading Kirrawee High by 20 points to 0. Fairfield had it all their own way in the first 30 minutes. Now it's up to Kirrawee to see if they can reverse that trend. This half, Fairfield running left to right of your cameras or your screens, and Kirrawee in the royal blue jumpers with the large white bars. It's Kirrawee in possession at the moment. And it's that tall American boy, Todd Capes, playing the ball. Tracy.
I'll be a little surprised, John, if Kirrawee do not kick in this half.
That was certainly missing from their game in that first half, Bob, particularly when they were virtual prisoners in their quarter time and time again from that sustained pressure of Fairfield.
Yes, I was hoping to be proved right then, but the boy dummied the kick and ran.
Their tackling was real zealous stuff, nice and steady, but that power and the speed of Fairfield proved too much after those first 15 minutes of bombardment. This is Ghana. Midway between the quarter and halfway in Kirrawee's territory. Burford sending a looper out. And it's O'Malley that brings play back to midway between the quarter and halfway. Fairfield coming forward again. This time through Cruikshank. Gilmore, the touch to Langmack with a little chip. On the quarter and last one coming up. Ghana. Now with Burford. Oh, this is Roberts going for a gallop. Slips 1, 2, 3. Still gets his pass away. And given up to Kirrawee.
Certainly a relieving penalty to Kirrawee there.
He was certainly a main runner. Roberts that time. He's wearing jumper number 10. And the big run from Fairfield. It was through their fullback Walker. They're spreading it again with Langmark, chopping out Mannix with Lamerton now. Roach on the outside. Inside, O'Malley. Is that O'Malley from over on the far side or Langmark? We'll have a look at it back on replay, but beautiful coordination again, and another magnificent example of the ball being consistently alive.
I think it was young Langmack who scored the try, but put it down to young Sean Lemerton again, who propped and stepped inside and unloaded. The boy has to play basketball. We've seen a hook pass, we've seen a set shot. But here we go now. He sees there's nowhere to go outside, props, comes back inside, and then the looping pass over the top to young Langmack, the 5'8". He's a good little boy too, backs up well and did that little good chip through a moment before. Great try.
Well, after this is O'Malley going to have a crack at the conversion of this one. again, another side booter. So the score remains 26-0 in favour of Fairfield Patrician Brothers over Kirrawee High. After 21 years at the college, and I think 15 of those as coach, Kevin Burke saw his side in 81 as a very fast one, as I said earlier, a tradesman-like side, and one which seems to be very competent in all positions, and it'd be underplaying it, would it?
Yes, they have the ability to keep the ball alive, which I'm sure would be pleasing Kevin no end. They stand nice and deep. They've got big boys in the right places. Obviously, we know where their speed is, but oftentimes you can have boys in the right spot, but they've got the football know-how as well.
Will not be commencing the 2SM Player of the Year award until the group final stage, but that doesn't stop me wanting to remind you that the 2SM Player of the Year award has been increased to $4,000 for the player judged to have been the Player of the Year, one who contributes most to the play in each particular match to his team. That award comes from Radio 2SM and has certainly become the most prized achievement, I think, in schoolboy football in Australia. $4,000 tertiary education scholarship. Langmack, who scored the try and has the ball, who gives the touch on further to Walker in that passage of play, was one of the tall point scorers last year, Paul Langmack. And again, on his performance here tonight, if we were awarding points, would certainly be in the forefront.
Certainly. Young Todd Capes is doing well, the boy, the American boy. Possibly, obviously, it'd only be his second or third game of rugby league, but he's still there right in the middle of the action and carry good words back to the States.
Well, they have a sister school in Colorado, Kirrawee, on a yearly basis. They have an exchange program, and at present Todd is one of 4 Americans here, and 4 of the Kirrawee students are enjoying that Denver country. Osborne. Peter Edwards again moving from dummy half, and shadowing him there was Osborne. He's got 1 against 1. Support. That's an escape for Kirrawee. You can be so near and yet so far. And they continue to graft away to get out of their quarter. And blocking that run was Garner. Again, 3 in to stop these Kirrawee charges. Tracy. There's an inside alley to John Taylor. And the end of 6. The scrum just on Kirrawee's quarter. And it's 25-0 in favour of Fairfield.
Scrum stand at 5-all too at this point in time.
Tracy, dogged performer, trying everything for his school tonight. Big run from Carl Mitten. And Kirrawee in possession. Capes' turn. Garner was there to snipe him down with the assistance of 2 others. Not only a lot of spirit in Fairfield's attack, but certainly a lot in their defence work too. Good thinking from Roach. And Walker, ever present and ever reliable to gain 20 metres with a run. Roach bringing it forward for Fairfield. Edwards trying this right side. And Burford making sure that he brings his school up midway between the quarter and halfway in Kirrawee's territory. Langmack with the cutout, and it's Walker on the charge, and he picked it up nicely as he joined the line. Lamerton. On the right, they explore again. On the inside channel, Edwards. After well by Capes. Lamerton with Osborne now. Garner on the outside, and he's 2 up. Oh, beautifully handled there by Mannix. Look at Roach go. O'Malley at least, but lovely 3-quarter play again by Mannix.
Yes, good football all around there. A good quick ball. Young Garner then, Mannix across to the winger O'Malley. Good cover defence. Young John Taylor I'd like to mention John Taylor, the front rower for Kirrawee, has been getting through quite a power of defence.
Yes, he's certainly strong in every department as a hard runner and a very reliable defender as well. Now Langmack with a jinking rung through to about 10 metres out from Kirrawee's line. Burford, Garner, now with Mannix, and he has Lamerton there, and he takes it beautifully, and what a beautiful serve. What a commanding figure this Mannix is, an important part of the team in a tactical sense, as is Langmack. They go to 28-0 Fairfield, and again you saw the beautiful play from Mannix, and the two centres in lovely concert play.
Yes, you can't really say enough, John, can you, about these two boys? They combine beautifully. You see the nice deep back line. Our old mate Garner getting in there. Quick pass there that time. Mannix accelerates. He's looking, he's thinking. He says to his mate, well, this one is yours. That'll make it 2-all. And they enjoy scoring tries like that, those two.
Superb work. And it looks like musical chairs because Max Mannix, who has been instrumental in 3 tries that I can recollect, will endeavour to convert this Lamerton try. It's 28-0 Fairfield against Kirrawee High, certainly stamping themselves on this game. And what a thrilling performance it's been. So Mannix from wide out.
I think young Sean Lamerton will be rushing home to watch the TV tonight, John, as that picked up his hat-trick of tries this evening.
And wouldn't you, Bob? Striking it wide. So the score is 28-0 in favour of Fairfield after 10 minutes in this second half. I mentioned earlier that Kirrawee was a co-ed school from the Sutherland area. It was opened, if I remember, I think in 1966. And 13 years later produced the captain of the Australian schoolboy side to England that Bobby Lloyd handled, and his name is Stephen Hardy. And that's one that they'd latch on to the honour board rather joyfully.
A wonderful boy, Stephen, a tremendous leader, a great player, unfortunately injured overseas, but playing quite well at the present time for Cronulla Sutherland.
So that's Walker chopping it down, or Lamerton it rather, and bringing play midway between the quarter and halfway in Fairfield's territory.
And Tracy's not going to give the game away.
Number 16 is on, which is Anthony Zappia. And this is Edwards making highways, and Osborne is there backing up and taking the ball beautifully. And it's just consistent backup play from Fairfield. Speed, power, and backing up. So Anthony Zappia is on in the Fairfield pack. And coming on for Kirrawee is Craig Knowles. Capes now, trying to pump his way, but only after a couple of metres. He's a very tired boy because he's got through a lot of work too. Clearance from Hines. Number 17 on at fullback is Anthony Marvello for Fairfield. Zappia threading his way up to just outside Kirrawee's quarter. And there's the little chip for his outside men, not the stretch on it this time. From the quarter now, it's Kirrawee. Blocked by Burford. Tracy, Mitten. Garner repossesses for Fairfield. And that's Big Osborne. He's been uncompromisingly hard with his runs. Through the ruck, out wide on the edge of the ruck. This is Gilmore, who's played a very fine part here tonight too. He's released that ball superbly. Langmack now. Mannix with Roach. Your turn. And like a good opposite winger, not only smothered him, but put him out into touch. The score, 28-0 in favour of Fairfield against Kirrawee High. We've gone 14 minutes into the second half. 17 on for Fairfield is Anthony Marvello, and 17 on for Kirrawee. With a good try for Roach is Craig Knowles. So up she goes now to 31-0 as we look on this replay. Bob Lloyd.
Yes, it's an old move. You saw the boys calling it in. It's good to see them. The half-back to the 5'8". Winger coming in from the blind side, running to the gap. And that's something to notice to all the boys watching, that the boy didn't just run off the 5'8". He ran in such a position that he was virtually running between the 5'8" and inside centre. Very difficult to stop. Very good play.
We'll see who's going to have a crack this time. It's Mannix, the centre again. They lead 31-0 Fairfield. As I said, that Kirrawee were a side of fighters and battlers. Time, of course, ebbing away for them. And they've been in there trying to stay alive against this phenomenal machine from Fairfield. Their attacking ability, as I said before, has just been too hot. It's been great stuff. Mannix. There's a shot and he saw it well. So it's 33-0, Fairfield leading Kirrawee, with number 16 going on for Kirrawee, and that happens to be Malcolm Cottrell.
Hey, Mr. Big Rooster, why does everyone love your chicken?
That's 'cause we get our chickens fresh every day, then barbecue 'em golden brown.
Big Rooster Chicken, it's barbecue. Big Rooster Chicken, it's barbecue. Big Rooster Chicken, it's barbecue for you. Yeehaw! Wherever you go, whatever you do, take the real taste of chicken along with you. Big Rooster Chicken, it's barbecue. Lunchtime, snack time, dinner time too.
You'll enjoy shopping at Woolies. Friendly smiles and wider aisles take the effort out of shopping. At Woolies, you'll find shopping is a pleasure. We always have lower prices too. Assorted shampoos, $2.39 each, save 60 cents. Plumrose Deli Corned Beef, $3.59, save 30 cents. Airwick Air Fresheners, $1.05, save at least 10 cents. And Skippy Cornflakes, 69 cents. Woolworths Supermarkets.
And your shopping star.
Ever since I bought this Airwand air freshener, he acts like he's conducting the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra.
Airwand, a unique air freshener from Airwick. Leave it standing to keep a room fresh all day, or wave it to remove sudden odors. It's safe to use around food and children and lasts for up to 60 days. Airwand from Airwick.
In 1837, Richard Hamilton grew grapes like these in his Ewell vineyards. They were the first grapes ever grown in South Australia. And down the years, Hamilton grapes have produced splendid white wines. Take Hamilton's Ewell Moselle, not quite as sweet as your normal Moselle, but light and fruity. Hamilton's Ewell Moselle, a wine consistently described as the pick of the bunch.
As you rejoin us, Robert Willis, number 14 for Kirrawee, going on. Number 14 for Fairfield going on is Robert Krislovic. So we certainly have a few substitutions out there. With about 17 minutes of play remaining. One of the few times I've seen them turn it over.
One of the very few mistakes. I was trying to think before if I've seen Fairfield tonight miss a tackle. I don't really think I have. That's the first mistake they've made.
Well, you haven't seen Garner miss a tackle. There was another one where he denied one of the Kirrawee players his run. And on the end of that one was Krislovic and Edwards. Trying to look for advantages with after the initial decoy. And it was Mitten who ultimately got the ball for Kirrawee.
Will we see a bomb? Come on, boys, let's put it up in the air.
The Fairfield defence has been impregnable. There's a chance out here with about 4 against 2.
This would be about the best chance, I'd say, that Kirrawee have had all evening to get points on the board. Scrum win here would be very handy to them.
But it's a Fairfield ball, and Gilmore makes certain of it. Garner was trapped at dummy half. Keeping it on the left. This defence of Kirrawee has not given up. Not giving an inch at the moment as Fairfield try to drive forward.
What a tribute to both teams, John, also the referee, and the fact that we've virtually nearly had 50 minutes of football. There's been 6 penalties, 3 all. So for an inexperienced side, they've done particularly well in the penalty count. But again, stamps the fine standard and the fine spirit in which these Commonwealth Bank Cup matches are played.
Fairfield in 1980 got to the quarterfinals. 81, as I said, 8 of last year's players are back in the side, which gives them an enormous amount of experience. Look at this Garner ripping them apart again. In fact, I don't think Fairfield Patrician brothers have been out of the quarterfinals since our inaugural year of 75.
Yes, that's a tremendous record to maintain, and the spirit and the tradition that's built up within a school with a record like that is obvious.
Nearly tearing away Peter Gallagher. So for some subsequent play, Kirrawee with the ball. And a scrum,
yes,
about 30 metres out.
Young Glenn Hines, the halfback for Kirrawee, had a look of anguish on his face then after retrieving the ball so well. And like a good halfback, he and young Paul Gilmore had a good battle tonight. Certainly Glenn's been behind a beaten team, but he's still in there giving it all.
10 minutes before full time, and Fairfield lead 33-0. Gilmore,
here they are
one
again,
of the rare occasions, trapped at the base. Gallagher is wearing jumper number 15.
Trouble out wide, John.
Zappia.
Here we go.
Burford. Some of the tries tonight have been very simple and well worked and clinically finished by both their centres and certainly their wingers.
Yes, they certainly have obviously been coached with an emphasis to as much quick ball as possible. Get the ball out to those centres and flank men. They've got speed. I'm sure their coach won't be too disappointed this evening of the way that they've put this win together. It has been very professional.
In the dressing room prior to coming onto the field, I heard them, and the word reverberating right throughout the room was dedication to your work, run to the gap, and look for your support.
Well, that sums up exactly what we've been saying.
They carried it through to the nth degree. Kirrawee still keeping it alive, Monaghan. And this time to halfway. The last one coming up on Kirrawee. And young Hines. Stifled in the centre. That's where the scrum will go down. Fairfield leading 33-0. Kirrawee High having their first appearance on the Channel 10 network tonight. There's Billy Anderson, a very interested spectator here, the South Sydney coach, and no doubt enthralled by the attacking power of Fairfield And the good defence work of Kirrawee.
Bill, of course, John, teaches at Guyamere High, one of the neighbouring schools of Kirrawee. And Kirrawee defeated Guyamere High, they were pleased to tell me, in a trial match earlier this year.
This is Tracy, again beating his big tall prop. Once again, 3 in there to nail the runner. Hines here, finds an opening.
Oh, he's had a good effort, this boy. He's been tackling and running all night. I think even he thought the floodgates had opened then. And his mate, Tracy.
Yes. They virtually shattered one another all night.
I don't think it'll be too hard to guess who the two are who play regular rugby league.
I think the intention from Hines was there for that high ball, but as you saw, it screwed. Garner taking charge of things for Fairfield at the moment. Nearly 30 metres out from his own goal line. And they go on exploring that left with Zappia giving a beautiful pass. And look at this for a nice hike up that left wing. O'Malley looking for assistance, finds it too. Perfect. Edwards penetrating for Fairfield. Look how deep they're lined out. With Lamerton now. Garner's there. Lovely pass. Mannix again. Look at this flyer. Oh, top football. What do you say about this fella? Like a pot of gold to Fairfield. He's been revealing his skills consistently all night. This young centre for Fairfield. They lead 36-0.
It's a great try.
Max Mannix, who has been instrumental in 3 tries that I can recollect, will endeavour to convert this Lamerton try. It's 28-0, Fairfield against Kirrawee High. Certainly stamping themselves on this game. And what a thrilling performance it's been. So Mannix from wide out.
I think young Sean Lamerton will be rushing home to watch the TV tonight, John, as that picked up his hat trick of tries this evening.
And wouldn't you, Bob? Striking it wide. So the score is 28-0 in favour of Fairfield after 10 minutes in this second half. I mentioned earlier that Kirrawee was a co-ed school from the Sutherland area. It was opened, if I remember, I think in 1966. And 13 years later produced the captain of the Australian schoolboy side to England that Bobby Lloyd handled, and his name is Stephen Hardy. And that's one that they'd latch on to the honour board rather joyfully.
A wonderful boy, Stephen, a tremendous leader, a great player, unfortunately injured overseas, but playing quite well at the present time for Cronulla Sutherland.
So that's Walker chopping it down, or Lamerton it rather, and bringing play midway between the quarter and halfway in Fairfield's territory.
Well, Tracy's not going to give the game away.
Number 16 is on, which is Anthony Zappia. And this is Edwards making highways, and Osborne is there backing up and taking the ball beautifully. And it's just consistent backup play from Fairfield. Speed, power, and backing up. So Anthony Zappia is on in the Fairfield pack. And coming on for Kirrawee is Craig Knowles. Capes now, trying to pump his way, but only after a couple of metres. He's a very tired boy because he's got through a lot of work too. Clearance from Hines. Roach. Number 17 on at fullback is Anthony Marvello for Fairfield. Zappia threading his way up to just outside Kirrawee's quarter. And There's the little chip for his outside men, not the stretch on it this time. From the quarter now, it's Kirrawee. Blocked by Burford. Tracy. Mitten. Garner repossesses for Fairfield. And that's Big Osman. He's been uncompromisingly hard with his runs. Through the ruck, out wide, on the edge of the ruck. This is Gilmore, who's played a very fine part here tonight too. He's released that ball superbly. Langmack now. Mannix with Roach, your turn. And like a good opposite winger, not only smothered him, but put him out into touch. The score, 28-0 in favour of Fairfield against Kirrawee High. We've gone 14 minutes into the second half. 17 on for Fairfield is Anthony Marvello, and 17 on for Kirrawee. With a good try for Roach is Craig Knowles. So up she goes now to 31-0 as we look on this replay. Bob Lloyd.
Yes, it's an old move. You saw the boys calling it in. It's good to see them. The half-back to the 5'8". Winger coming in from the blind side, running to the gap. And that's something to notice to all the boys watching, that the boy didn't just run off the 5'8". He ran in such a position that he was virtually running between the 5'8" and inside centre. Very difficult to stop. Very good play.
We'll see who's going to have a crack this time. It's Mannix, the centre again. They lead 31-0 Fairfield. As I said, that Kirrawee were a side of fighters and battlers. Time, of course, ebbing away for them. And they've been in there trying to stay alive against this phenomenal machine from Fairfield. Their attacking ability, as I said before, has just been too hot. It's been great stuff. Mannix. There's a shot and he saw it well. So it's 33-0, Fairfield leading Kirrawee with number 16 going on for Kirrawee, and that happens to be Malcolm Cottrell. As you rejoin us, Robert Willis, number 14 for Kirrawee going on. Number 14 for Fairfield going on is Robert Krislovic. So we certainly have a few substitutions out there. With about 17 minutes of play remaining. It's one of the few times I've seen them turn it over.
One of the very few mistakes. I was trying to think before if I've seen Fairfield tonight miss a tackle. I don't really think I have. That's the first mistake they've made.
Well, you haven't seen Garner miss a tackle. There was another one where he denied one of the Kirrawee players his run. And on the end of that one was Krislovic and Edwards. Trying to look for advantages with after the initial decoy, and it was Mitten who ultimately got the ball for Kirrawee.
Will we see a bomb? Come on, boys, let's put it up in the air.
The Fairfield defence has been impregnable. There's a chance out here with about 4 against 2.
This would be about the best chance, I'd say, that Kirrawee have had all evening to get points on the board. Scrum win here would be very handy to them.
But it's a Fairfield ball, and Gilmore makes certain of it. Garner was trapped at dummy half. Keeping it on the left. This defence of Kirrawee has not given up. Not giving an inch at the moment as Fairfield try to drive forward.
What a tribute to both teams, John, also the referee, and the fact that we've virtually nearly had 50 minutes of football. There's been 6 penalties, 3 all. So for an inexperienced side, they've done particularly well in the penalty count, but again stamps the fine standard and the fine spirit in which these Commonwealth Bank Cup matches are played.
Fairfield in 1980 got to the quarterfinals. 81, as I said, 8 of last year's players are back in the side, which gives them an enormous amount of experience. Look at this Ghana ripping them apart again. In fact, I don't think Fairfield Patrician brothers have been out of the quarterfinals since our inaugural year of 75.
Yes, that's a tremendous record to maintain, and the spirit and the tradition that's built up within a school with a record like that is obvious.
Nearly tearing away Peter Gallagher. So for some subsequent play, Kirrawee with the ball. And a scrum,
yes,
about 30 metres out.
Young Glenn Hines, the halfback for Kirrawee, had a look of anguish on his face then after retrieving the ball so well. And like a good halfback, he and young Paul Gilmore have had a good battle tonight. Certainly Glenn's been behind a beaten team, but he's still in there giving it all.
10 minutes before full time, and Fairfield lead 33-0. Gilmore,
here they are
one
again,
of the rare occasions trapped at the base. Gallagher is wearing jumper number 15.
Trouble out wide, John.
Zappia.
Here we go.
Burford. Some of the tries tonight have been very simple and well worked and clinically finished by both their centres and certainly their wingers.
Yes, they certainly have obviously been coached with an emphasis to as much quick ball as possible. Get the ball out to those centres and flank men. They've got speed. I'm sure their coach won't be too disappointed this evening with the way that they've put this win together. It has been very professional.
In the dressing room prior to coming onto the field, I heard them, and the word reverberating right throughout the room was dedication to your work, run to the gap, and look for your support.
Well, that sums up exactly what we've been saying.
They carried it through to the nth degree. Kirrawee still keeping it alive, Monaghan. And this time to halfway. The last one coming up on Kirrawee. And young Hines. Stifled in the centre, that's where the scrum will go down. Fairfield leading 33-0. Kirrawee High having their first appearance on the Channel 10 network tonight. There's Billy Anderson, a very interested spectator here, the South Sydney coach, and no doubt enthralled by the attacking power of Fairfield and the good defence work of Kirrawee.
Bill, of course, John, teaches at Guyamere High, one of the neighbouring schools of Kirrawee. And Kirrawee defeated Guyamere High, they were pleased to tell me, in a trial match earlier this year.
This is Tracy, again feeding his big tall prop. Once again, 3 in there to nail the runner. Hines here, finds an opening.
Oh, he's had a good effort, this boy. He's been tackling and running all night. I think even he thought the floodgates had opened then. And his mate, Tracy.
Yes. They're virtually shattered one another all night.
I don't think it'll be too hard to guess who the two are who play regular rugby league.
I think the intention from Hines was there for that high ball, but as you saw, it screwed. Garner taking charge of things for Fairfield at the moment. nearly 30 metres out from his own goal line, and they go on exploring that left with Zappia giving a beautiful pass. And look at this for a nice hike up that left wing. O'Malley looking for assistance, finds it too. Perfect. Edwards penetrating for Fairfield. Look how deep they're lined out. With Lamerton now. Garner's there. Lovely pass. Mannix again. Look at this flyer. Oh, top football. What do you say about this fella? Like a pot of gold to Fairfield. He's been revealing his skills consistently all night. This young centre for Fairfield. They lead 36-0.
Yes, a great try then. I think you said it all, John, as you called the try. You mentioned, look how deep they are. And here's the ball coming across now. Garner again, holds a pass up. Mannix on the boil, coming from a very deep position. Too quick, too strong, and that for him is a very nice feeling as he joins his old mate Sean Lamerton with three tries apiece. I just hope my boys from the entrance high are watching that when you said standing deep. It's exactly what I've been trying to get the boys to do. Stand deep, run onto the ball. The man who receives the pass must be running faster than the man who gives it.
Wise words from Bob Lloyd as Mannix tries this one from wide out. But he won't add to his score with that one. 36-0. Fairfield with 5 minutes remaining in what has virtually been a double blue tidal wave tonight that has just rolled on downfield consistently right throughout the night. Just a blistering display of power and speed and attack. Lamerton. Roach.
Both wingers get very heavily involved in the game. Obviously a coaching ploy.
They do indeed. And here's a tear away too by Peter Gallagher. And he's still going. He's got 1 against 1. Assistance there. No, gee whiz. I tell you what, he shows some pace, that young Peter Gallagher. Threatening again Fairfield with a lofted pass out wide. Lamerton gives it beautifully. And he's in. That's Robert Krislavok. And again, we just saw that ball transferred after that initial break, engineered all by Peter Gallagher, as I call from halfway. It was a beautiful breakaway. He was right on the march, right to the court, and from the subsequent play of the ball, and here it is, going from Edwards. And that looping pass out to Lamerton. Krislavok had support on the left, but he plants it down well for 39-0 the scoreboard.
I think that shows their overall team strength, John, when you can bring on young boys of the standard of Gallagher and Krislavik, who obviously are outstanding footballers in their own right. They've come on, fresh replacements, must augur well, because you will not win a competition, certainly a knockout competition of the standing and the very, very hard football that the boys do come up against in the later rounds with just a bare 13. You must have at least, in my opinion, 19 top-line players to win the Commonwealth Bank Cup.
Well, they certainly have that enviable depth at Fairfield.
Well, I'm wondering what else they're going to bring out.
I think they've used up all the substitutions, Bob. So we have 3 minutes remaining. Just a complete display of authority by Fairfield tonight, with their scoreline reading 39-0 against Kirrawee High. It's been absolutely a thrilling performance from the Patrician Brothers School, and a never say die display from Kirrawee. As we've mentioned, probably one of the most inexperienced schools to come before the Channel 10 cameras. And just repeating myself, only 2 play rugby league outside the school. The rest of hockey representatives, Australian rules converts, as was Richard Monaghan, gymnast in Johnny Hurst, who's their right winger. He won the title at the New South Wales Combined High Schools Gymnastics Championships last year. of course, Martin Duffy, an outstanding young cricketer. But this is Anthony Marvello, the head-geared man, just short of his own side of halfway. Edwards been controlling things beautifully around the rucks too. Mannix. Superb football. Edwards looking for support. He's got it in Sophia and over. What do you say except stand back and just admire this powerful schoolboy machine? And they've hit the 40 mark. It's their 42-0. Fairfield Patrician brothers.
Yes, I'd like you to watch this time, the amount of backing up in this team. Poor old Kirrawee were there. They're making clean tackles, but this is young Zappia who finishes off the move in a great over looping pass. Very quick ball in there from the winger to Mannix. Keeps the ball alive. Look, there's defence there. Slight missed tackle.
This is Edwards.
Edwards, who does particularly well in backing up the play. Zappia, who started it all, in for a very, very fine, dedicated team try.
Young Peter Edwards, I think, has been staging a one-man war with his very clever ball distribution and linking up with his backs out wide.
Yes, he is always at the dummy half position, and a very strong footballer.
Mannix, side booting.
A number of very good and clever ball players, John, in the Fairfield team. They're not only big and strong and able to move the ball, but we saw the winger then. He knew he was sidelined, touched the ball and virtually stopped two defenders by just one quick, swift movement of getting the ball back inside. Very, very professional and very clever football team. Overall, I would like to congratulate the Kirrawee boys as well. They've been well beaten, but the number of noticeable mistakes tonight of knock-ons or drop balls has been very few. The mistake rate would be very, very low.
And they haven't given an inch against this driving machine from Fairfield, Kirrawee. Top marks to them. Still out there in a straight line, ready to contain them. Is up here again. And there it is, the final hooter, and Fairfield Patrician brothers have defeated Kirrawee High in our second game of the Commonwealth Bank Cup for 1981, 42-0. Well, certainly Fairfield showing that they're just irresistible tonight. Sparkling form, a very workmanlike performance, and Kirrawee High showing that they had what it really took after initial frights and nerves. I think school football seemed to a very great advantage tonight, Bob.
Yes, I mentioned earlier, John, there's a great lack of mistakes in the game. The referee, I'm sure, if you were to go down now and see that ask Barry Bradstock, did he enjoy the game? I'm sure he would have enjoyed the game tremendously. He kept a very good 5 yards. The first man in every tackle was low. Overall, in the whole game, there are only 8 penalties, 4 apiece, and a very good example of ball skills and good, open, clean, fast rugby league, and that's schoolboy rugby league.
Bob Lloyd, thanks indeed for travelling from the entrance to join us tonight. Thank you again for your support for the Commonwealth Bank Cup and certainly for your magnificent support of high school football throughout Australia.
Thank you very much, John.
Look forward to seeing you again throughout the season. That's Commonwealth Bank Cup match number 2. A victory for Patrician Brothers Fairfield, defeating Kirrawee High by 42 points to 0. Next week, we're back for the third match. 2 good, strong sides. Colleton High, Blacktown High, the winners from 1977. Until then, on behalf of Ray O'Donnell, our statistician, Bob Lloyd from Combined High Schools, I'm John Brennan. We've been here for the Commonwealth Bank Cup for Channel 10 Sport.
I would like to introduce my most charming colleague on the staff, who has been with us for many years and has given great service to the school, Mrs. Magda Quinlan.
This one here.
Thank you, Mr. Craig. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my very great pleasure to introduce these fine young men to you tonight. Because we have something like 120 boys graduating with us here this evening, I would suggest that unless there is someone whom you particularly wish to acknowledge, that we hold our applause for them until the end. We are waiting at the moment for Mr. Bob Milner, the Year 12 Form Master, to get these boys organised. Graduates tonight is Stephen Victor Adams. He represented the college at the MCS level in A-grade cricket and league. During his 2 years, he has been active in fundraising appeals. His ambition is to become a computer programmer. Our next student tonight is Stephen Barry Adams. He was a scholastic leader, has gained credit in maths competitions and was athletics champion in each year in his age group. He was class captain of 12-1 this year. David Ames. David was a supervisory prefect in his last year at the college, a college representative in swimming and an academic leader. Terry Bagatella. He has attended the college for 8 years and was an enthusiastic worker for all charity appeals. In his final year, Terry was a member of the transport prefects. Joseph Borg. An active worker in the field of charity appeals, Joseph has made many friends among the students of the college. His ambition lies in the field of computer programming. Helder Brandau, a member of the college community for the past 4 years, Helder has in this time gained many scholastic awards. His ambition is to attend university to become an accountant. Greg Brees, a library prefect during his final year at the college. Greg has also participated in the many college activities in fundraising and school musicals. Ross Bruschetto, a member of the Cadet Corps from 1980 to 82, Ross was also active in the preparation of school musicals and hopes to gain entrance to university upon leaving school. Robert Brown, a college representative in the sports of cricket and squash. Robert was also prominent in the field of public speaking and debating. Robert Busertil, a supervisory prefect in Year 12 and representative in swimming. Robert is keen to enter the field of electronics upon leaving school. Roger Calagiro. Roger has been at the college for 2 years and in this time has been involved in the fundraising appeals held within the year. He intends to follow a career in auto mechanics. Bradley Camden. A popular member of the form, Brad was a member of the state knockout rugby league team and was a supervisory prefect in his final year at the college. Burke. Anthony Carozzi. The 1984 Ducks of the college. He has been a keen student at Fairfield for 2 years. His ambition is to enter university to study either law or medicine. Stephen Cartwright, a prominent rugby league player and popular form member. Steve has been active in the many areas of college charity appeals. Rocco Caruso. Rocco is a respected student of the Year 12 form and is planning to undertake a course in business studies upon finishing school. Philip Casey, proficient in sport and studies, and he hopes to follow a career in accountancy or business management. Xavier Cassar, a supervisory prefect and supporter of various school activities. Xavier hopes to become an electronics engineer. Edward Casson. Edward hopes to become a banker and he has been very active in the extracurricular activities associated with Year 12. Andrew Cavallaro. Andrew was a supervisory prefect and was a strong academic student in 1984. He hopes to pursue a career in economics accounting. Darren Sibilic. Darren was a library prefect in 1984 and a scholastic leader in physics and mathematics. He hopes to study medicine next year. Dennis Cohill, a real personality in Year 12 in 1984. Dennis was very active in sport and extracurricular activities. His favourite sport was soccer. Chris Cooney. Chris showed great proficiency in sport and was captain of the Red House in 1984. His ambition is to join the police force. No, thanks. Timothy Cox. Timothy was the most active student in sport and in the extracurricular activities of the school. He hopes to become an accountant. Mike Krinjak. Mike was a keen socialiser within the school and on the sporting field. Property construction is his future career. Walter Dana. Walter hopes to become an engineer. Whilst at school, he was an active sportsman, a proficient student, and a good all-rounder. Michael Dennis. Michael was athletics open age champion in 1984 and was proficient in both sport and studies. He was open age champion in MCS squash. Duggan and Drescher, thanks. Shannon Dibley. Shannon has ambitions of becoming a school teacher and playing professional rugby league in his spare time. Craig Edwards. Craig's ambition is to join the armed forces to protect Australia. Gabriel El Hajjar. Gabriel was a member of the Prefect Executive Committee, a scholastic leader and sporting coach. He hopes to become a doctor. Ivo Favotto. Ivo was one of the great talkers of the year. A library prefect, he hopes to enter the field of business and commerce. He is a scholastic leader in ancient history. I might add he gave me a very instructive lecture one lunchtime on the pyramids. Robert Flego. Robert has been an active student within the college and hopes to enter the real estate game as a career. Rod Foran. Rod is a water skiing champion and was one of the characters of 1984. He hopes to enter electrical engineering. His comment in the yearbook was, "Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way." Barry Foster. Barry was a transport prefect, proficient at studies, and a good mixer in the year. He hopes to enter a career in business administration. Darren Fraser. Darren has joined in most of the school activities over the 8 years he has been a student at the college. He is an outstanding swimmer and was captain of the Blue House in 1984. Salim George. Salim's ambition is to gain employment and independence. He was also a most competent student. Back to your seat, I think. Robert Gilbert. Robert was a supervisory prefect and hopes to enter a career in the police force in 1985. Peter Goddard. Peter had an enthusiastic approach to his sport and his studies. He hopes to gain meaningful employment in the business world. Jose Gonzalez. Jose was a supervisory prefect and competent student. He hopes to follow a career in science. Joseph Giulisano. Joe was a supervisory prefect, a willing student, and a pleasure to teach. He hopes to attend university to further his career. Is this next? Caneberg? Is Caneberg coming? It's not Berg. Is it Stuart Hale? Stuart Hale. Stuart's philosophy to school and life can be best summed up by his quote to his fellow students: "The meek shall inherit the earth, if that's all right with everyone else." He was a quiet achiever, particularly in the field of the arts. Robert Hanich. Robert hopes to become an accountant. His years at the school were marked by achievement in both sport and scholarship. Yes, got it. Keane Burke. A keen competitor in the sports arena, Keane has represented in all sports at the college and participated in all fundraising appeals. His ambition is to enter the police force, either state or federal. John Caristo. John was a good student. He joined in all school activities. His ambition is to become a secondary teacher. George Harb. George was a supervisory prefect in 1984, whose initiative and drive led to the social success of the year. He hopes to run his own business. Brian Harrington. Brian was captain of 12-2 and of the college A-grade rugby league team. He was a steady scholar and hopes to go into business for himself and to continue playing football. Glenn Duggan. Mark Drescher. Mark was a champion gymnast and hopes to pursue a career as a PE teacher. Glenn Duggan. Glenn has participated in most school activities in sport and was a transport prefect in Year 12, and his ambition is to become an accountant. Simon Hine. Simon was one of the characters of Year 12. His ambition is to become an actor. I might add he's had considerable practice in class. Bradley House. Brad was a transport prefect in 1984, champion swimmer and a good socialiser. He hopes to do engineering. Warren House. Wally was a lively character in Year 12. He hopes to become a customs officer or one of Mr. Hawke's policemen. Victor Hulley. Victor was a member of the Prefect Executive, a good student and sportsman. Stephen Jones. A member of the A-grade cricket team, he was a dedicated transport prefect and he intends to become a home science teacher. Stephen Kearns. Stephen hopes to become a primary school teacher. He was best known at the college for his football ability. Stephen Kennedy. Stephen was active in most college activities and was a very satisfactory student. He hopes to become an accountant. Mark Kulik. Mark has been involved in sport and extracurricular activities. His ambition is to become a technologist in the medical field. Robert Kutera. Robert was a consistent performer in his studies and his sport, and he hopes to enter the business world. Joseph Landro. Mathematics and Italian. Academic leader in 1984. A supervisory prefect and a first-class athlete. Joseph hopes to study electronic engineering. Peter Lappick. Peter was a member of the Supervisory Prefect Committee and he has a very active interest in computers. Michael Lucas. Michael hopes to own his own business. While at college, he was a champion tennis player. Chris Lynch. Chris was a member of the Prefect Executive and captain of the Greenhouse. He was an all-round sportsman and student. He hopes to enter the police force. John Lynch. John was a scholastic leader in technology and a competent sportsman. He hopes to become a school teacher. Dominic Mackenzie. Dominic was part of school musicals and sporting activities. He intends to become a computer programmer. Greg Mannix. Greg was Sportsman of the Year in 1984, as well as being an organisational prefect. He hopes to study sports psychology and physical education with a view to becoming a school teacher. Vince Marcucci. Vince hopes to further his studies at university. While at college, he was an all-round student and sportsman. John Marion. John was my favourite economics student. He was class captain of 12-3 and a popular member of the student body. Richard Mazurkovic. Richard was a supervisory prefect, a fine student and active sportsman. He hopes to become a mechanical engineer. Eamon Macaulay. Eamon is best remembered for his sporting ability. He hopes to attend university to complete his education. Brian McCormick. Brian was a very zealous transport prefect and was dedicated to his studies. His career will lie in the RAAF. Andrew McFarlane. Andrew was a conscientious student and sportsman. He hopes to become a computer programmer. Greg Messer. An impressive student, Greg has excelled in gymnastics and hopes to join the public service. Anthony Mikulev. Anthony has been a personality in Year 12, a good student and sportsman, and a leader in general studies. Glenn Mills. Glenn hopes to become a pilot. He was a champion squash player and a conscientious student. Grant Morrissey. Grant was an all-round sportsman and a competent student. His interest lies in the nursing field. Simon Mullen. Simon hopes to become an accountant. He was a competent student and sportsman. Ted Murphy. Ted was a leading student in Year 12 and a scholastic leader in chemistry, physics and engineering science. He wishes to become a doctor. Anthony Nadolini. Anthony hopes to own his own computer selling business. He was a steady student and an active sportsman. Patrick Newell. Pat was involved in most college activities and sporting teams in 1984. He hopes to enter banking. Tim Nicolaides. Tim was a leading student and a library prefect in 1984. He intends to pursue university studies. Jamie O'Connell. Jamie was an Australian basketball player and has left his future plans open. Ross Ollerenshaw. Ross was the MCS Open Age Golf Champion and a conscientious student. He hopes to teach or build bridges. Pat O'Neill. Patrick was a well-known sportsman in Year 12, a member of the Supervisory Prefect Committee. He hopes to become a policeman in 1985. Greg Osborne. Greg was the mechanic of Year 12 and he hopes to make his career in this field. Fabio Palazzo. Fabio was a good all-round sportsman and enthusiastic member of Year 12. He hopes to build houses when he leaves school. Paul Patel. Paul was a scholastic leader in mathematics and was outstanding in this area. He hopes to go on to university. Dario Petrin. Dario hopes to become a mechanical engineer upon leaving school. He was a popular member of the student body. Nick Pintarik. Nicky was an active participant in all college activities and a positive transport prefect. He hopes to become a radiologist. Sammy Prevatira. Sam was an involved member of the school community and hopes to follow a career in environmental health or land studies. Angelo Puljic. Angelo was a popular member of the Year 12 community and he has musical ambitions. Stephen Puskas. Steve was the scholastic leader in music and was an all-round sportsman. He hopes to study science. John Quirk. John was a supervisory prefect, captain of the White House, and a conscientious and reliable student. He hopes to enter the field of community services. Bernard Ramsey. Bernard has involved himself in all college activities and was a transport prefect. He hopes to become a nurse. Danny Riddle, a conscientious student and an academic leader in home science. Danny is also interested in the nursing profession. Stephen Romero. Stephen was a popular student and an involved participant in college life. He is planning a career in banking and on Perfect Match. Mark Rossi. Mark was a conscientious student who participated in all aspects of college life. He wishes to become a chartered accountant. Mark Rosank. An active participant in sports, Mark hopes to obtain a science degree and to become a psychologist. John Samet. John is an accomplished soccer player and he hopes to pursue a career in the real estate business. Jihad Scarf, an enterprising organisational prefect who is highly respected within the student body for his managerial activities. He is looking forward to a career in aviation. Chris Sereno, an excellent sportsman. Christian was captain of the Gold House and his ambition is to enter the police force. Chris was also a member of the Transport Prefect body. Joseph Samankowitz, a steady and reliable student. His simple ambition is to be happy at whatever he does. Wayne Smith. Wayne hopes to enter the police force in 1985 and represented the college at football and athletics. Michael Spillane. Michael has been an active member of the Year 12 community and hopes to become an auto mechanic. John Steele, a scholastic leader in ancient history and one of the most articulate members of the form. John was a state finalist in the Lions Youth of the Year competition and a very active member of the school community. He hopes to study law. Paul Stillen. Paul enjoys most sports and was a sound student at the college. He intends to pursue a career in mechanical engineering. John Stockman. John was a library prefect and was one of the quiet achievers in 1984. David Sepiers. David was class captain of 12-5 and was very proficient at his studies, as well as being an all-round sportsman. He is looking for a cadetship in metallurgy. Diego Sutajan. Diego is a prominent member of the sporting fraternity of the college. He intends to further his studies at university. Robert Simons. Robert was a library prefect and involved in the field of art. He is the 1984 Scholastic Leader in Art. He hopes to further his career at the Sydney College of the Arts. Richard Taween. Richard was a very popular and active member of Year 12 and his ambition is to join the RAAF. Dario Trainee, a very efficient supervisory prefect. Dario intends to pursue a career in engineering. Zung Tran. Zung was a hard-working, dedicated member of Year 12. He was involved in the senior chess team and intends to go on to university. Charles Vella. Charlie was a supervisory prefect in 1984 and one of the academic leaders of the year. He hopes to be an architect. Shane Viglione, a scholastic leader in accountancy and an outstanding sportsman in the art of judo. Shane was an efficient transport prefect. He is entering the field of accounting. Renee Brick, a scholastic leader in computing, a supervisory prefect whose ambition is to become an electronics engineer. Jared Watts. Jared engrossed himself in his studies and was a willing helper in all year activities. He hopes to follow a career in accountancy. Mark Wanson. Mark was an eager cadet in 1983 and a quiet achiever in 1984. Paul Wazola, affectionately known as Greg Evans. Paul was an organisational prefect and an outstanding student in the field of art. He hopes to enter the nursing profession. Joe Unan. Joe was a very involved student in both studies and sport. He was an organisational prefect and is looking forward to a career in commerce. Now, last but not least, we have 3 students who performed special duties with us in 1984. Pat Francis. Pat was the senior prefect for 1984. He made his presence and his initiative felt in all school functions in 1984. He was a good footballer, an intelligent debater and public speaker. Pat's personality has shown in whatever he undertook this year. Sean Lillis. Sean is the school vice-captain for 1984. He played on the Commonwealth Cup football team. Sean has been a fine example of scholastic and sporting achievement throughout this year. Glenn Abrahams. Glenn was this year's school captain. His genuineness and enthusiastic leadership won the respect of both students and staff. Glenn was an all-round sportsman and hopes to carry on with his sport and studies at university. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our class of 1984. They have been through May we commend them on their courage and spirit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Quinlan, for that most enthusiastic presentation. Now, of course, it would never be a graduation at Fairfield unless we had some sort of address from Mr. Fairfield himself. Of course, I refer to the provincial of the Patrician brothers, Brother Angus. Brother Angus, of course, Brother Angus, I don't think, has ever missed a graduation of the Year 12, the senior class at Fairfield. And therefore, I would ask you to receive Brother Angus enthusiastically.
Thank you very much, John, and I don't expect a very enthusiastic reception at this stage because I know that the ceremonies have been prolonged for a long time now, and the people are probably a little bit tired, a little bit anxious to get on with the celebrations. But I am really pleased to be able to be here to share in these very special celebrations, because even though I've been here for each graduation celebration since 1961, each one is a very special one for me, because I can see the special pleasure, the special hopes, the special dreams in the young men who come up to receive their certificates. And so I can rejoice with them. I'm sure the parents think back too on a night such as this, to 12 years or whatever number of years it was, and the boys started school, timid little boys, setting out to school, and now here we see them this evening, self-assured, well-presented, well-groomed, and really confident young men ready to embark on the next stage of their life's journey. So I'm very pleased to be here to be able to share with the young men of Year 12, with their parents and with their teachers, in what is a very important milestone in their life. Tonight is a night of mixed feelings, I guess, for the men in Year 12. It is a night of joy because they have been relieved of the tedium of school, the regimentation, the homework, and all those things which can make school life fairly difficult. However, it is also a night, I'm sure, when there are feelings of anxiety. Anxiety about the future, anxiety about HSC results, and even anxiety about world problems. As well as that, I'm sure there are feelings of sadness, feelings that friendships which they have had for many years are about to come to an end. They have developed great friendships among themselves, great support networks, and now they will go their separate ways as they embark on the next stage of their life journey. However, I do hope that underlying all these feelings, there are feelings of confidence, feelings of courage, feelings of optimism and enthusiasm. And I'm sure that they have those feelings because I know that they have demonstrated them in their time in the school at Fairfield and the other schools, and particularly in their Year 12. And so, my very brief message to the boys this evening then, the young men, is to take with you into your families, into your parishes, into your workplace, that friendship and that great sense of community which you have had in Year 12 in this year. If you do that, I'm sure you'll find that your future will be a satisfying one, a fulfilling one, and one where you will give to society what you can give, your youthful enthusiasm. I would like to thank all those who have been partners in bringing the boys to this stage of development. Thank especially the staff, because I do know that the teachers really spend themselves over and beyond what might be expected in trying to do what is best for the young men right through the years, and especially in Year 12. So thanks very much to the staff at Fairfield and to their leader, of course, Brother Christopher. I'd like to thank also the priests of the parishes, because life can be pretty empty or there's something very seriously missing unless that spiritual dimension is nurtured and fostered. And the priests of the communities, the parish communities, have been helpful right down through the years in supporting that, and particularly in those final years. Saturday night is a difficult night for priests to be with us, but we're delighted that Father Albrecht from Smithfield is here with us this evening, and Father Doherty, our new parish priest at Fairfield. Through them, we extend our thanks to the priests who have given the spiritual nourishment to the boys, and we ask the boys to remember that they're members of parish communities, and that should be a very important of their dimension in their life as they continue to grow into young men. I thank, of course, the parents, because I know that there have been many burdens on you since the boys started coming to Catholic schools. The school fees, the uniforms, the extra demands, they make life difficult. But I know that your generosity and goodwill has been forthcoming, And I know that one of the greatest supports that the staff at the school have had is the tremendous support from the parents. I thank you. I thank the boys themselves for their goodwill, for their manliness. And I repeat what I said earlier, just to see them coming up here tonight, their presentation, their manliness, and the way in which they have grown into young men is a great credit to themselves and to the families. I do hope that what they have invested in Catholic education and what the parents have invested will really stand them in good stead in the years which are ahead. I hope that the values and attitudes, the knowledge and the skills which they have acquired in their years with Catholic education will really help to equip them to live a fruitful and a fulfilling life. I hope that the blessings of God go with them in their future, and that their lives will be the richer because of their presence in the Patrician Brothers schools and in the Catholic schools.
Of course, this is a school function, and the principal of our school always has the last right to speak on the evening. And therefore, I would have you welcome our principal, Brother Christopher.
Thank you very much, Mr. Craig. Reverend Father Doherty, Reverend Brother Angus, Reverend Father Albrecht, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, students of Year 12, 1984. I will be brief but sincere. Those involved in the operation of schools, whether it be the staff who man the school, the students who attend the school, the priests, the parents, education authorities who come to the school, can usually detect what we might call spirit, climate, tone or atmosphere. And it seems to me 1984 has been a year of high morale and high climate. And that is due in no small way to the investment in teaching by the staff at Fairfield. They are a tremendous group of teachers. They are a committed and dedicated group. And it seems to me it would be most appropriate from all of us here in this, the last year of formal education for your sons, if we put our hands together for the staff of Patrician Brothers Fairfield. Apart from the staff, I know I speak for the majority of people when I thank you, the parents, for your involvement, for your participation, for your partnership in the educational process. You are the first educators. We, as a staff, can only reinforce and assist you in what you do. And it seems to me that the end product, the graduates of 1984, are quality people. They are a class of their own, and I would very much like to compliment you, the parents, for sending your sons to the school, for allowing us to be associated with the educational process, and for seeing the quality in your son exhibited here this evening and right throughout 1984. I'd like to thank you, as Brother Angus has done, for your involvement, your active participation, the financial sacrifices you have made in sending your boy to Patrician Brothers Fairfield. A very sincere thank you to you, the parents. And I'd ask your sons and staff members to put their hands together for the parents present here this evening. I spoke of morale and leadership there, and I would sincerely, on behalf of the staff, like to congratulate the senior executive of this college here tonight, amongst the prefect body, the captain, the vice captain and the head prefect. 3 men amongst men, Glenn Abrahams, Sean Lillis and Pat Francis. Their maturity of years, their dedication, their commitment and their concern for all has been an example for all of us. I'm very proud of them. I'm sure their parents are very proud of them, and we, the wider community, are proud of them. Congratulations to those 3 men. in speaking about the morale and climate that existed this year, and the scene was set by the present Year 12, the man who has coordinated, who has looked after, who has pastorally guided Year 12 not only this year but for the past 6 years, has been a man whom we respect very much. His care and his concern for the senior students, his empathy for each and every one of them as individuals is second to none. And I know that on your behalf, I would very much like to congratulate and pay tribute to that man, Bob Milner. Thank you, Bob, for what you have done this year, what you have done in many years gone by. Next year, Mr. Milner is taking up a subject coordinatorship at Marist Brothers Eastwood. He is maths coordinator there. He will be sorely missed at Patrician Brothers Fairfield. However, we wish him well in his future, and I know that later in the night he will have a few words to say. But at this point, suffice it to say a very sincere thank you to Bob Milner for his contribution to the climate of Patrician Brothers Fairfield over the last 7 years. Finally, to you, the students, graduates of 1984, might I thank you for your cooperation, for your comradeship, for your enthusiasm, for your dedication to the task in hand. As I have said so often, the climate that exists in Year 12, if it's healthy, if it's wholesome, it filters throughout the school. And I believe that has been the case through 1984. We do have a school where the climate is healthy, the atmosphere is wholesome, and I sincerely thank the Year 12 students for that. Might I ask you, as Year 12 students, in the future, to have the courage of your convictions. Might I ask you to be very aware of your faith commitment, and might I wish you all the very best for this Christmas and for the future Christmases that lie ahead. May I conclude by asking the good Lord to bless every one of you. May I ask you to act justly, to love tenderly, and to walk humbly with your God all the days of your life. May God bless you all this Christmas and in the many Christmases that lie ahead. Thank you very much.
This completes the formal part of the evening. There are a few scallywag things to happen later. And I want to thank you on behalf of all who are associated with the college for your forbearance and your attention and your generosity tonight. Now, the meal will now be served with the refreshments. Thank you very much.